All right, guys, we are live. Welcome, everybody. I'm just absolutely thrilled to speak with Miss Jennifer today because she has a different story, right? You know, if you guys saw, I talked to several people last night. I mean, they lost 90, 125, 60 pounds, a lot of weight. But really, Jennifer has a different story. And that's why I really wanted to bring her to you guys because everybody is different. So, Jennifer, welcome. Welcome to
Hey,
the
thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
so let's talk about so what was going on in your life, mentally, physically, whatever, that led you to reach out to your coach.
Well, let's start with my coach ends up being my best friend of 40 years. So let's start there. I actually had a very busy year work wise, and I needed to take a 3 week road trip, solo road trip. And in my journey down from Virginia, where I live, all the way down to Georgia, actually, I stopped off at my best friend's house, Laura, and I thought my life was actually going fairly well. I've had a very successful year with my work and everything. And I sat down and I watched her eat these things. I now I know what they are. And she started talking to me about her journey. And on my trip with her, I realized in speaking with her that I had not emotionally addressed some of the concerns and issues that I've had over the last several years. And one of those things was I've had a tremendous amount of loss in my life. And I lost my mother 3 years ago with cancer. And so food and health have always been one of my big focuses, Michael. And I am I've always been fit. I've always been really, really healthy in my entire life. I've never technically been obese or overweight, and I know a lot about nutrition. However, I had gained so much weight from the grief and loss of my mother, who was my best friend. And that weighed on me for a long time, for 3 years. And part of that was I realized in talking with Laura, my best friend, that I wasn't resolving the emotional stuff. So that in that 3 week solo trip of trying to get a grip on what was going on, I realized that, yeah, I understood everything about nutrition. I know about macros, I know about carbs and proteins and everything else. I'm very physically active, but I realized when things got tough for me in my life, Michael, with the loss of my mom and the grief and managing the estate and running a full business by myself as CEO of my own company, that I started to fail emotionally. And so I became an emotional eater. But what I really realized is I've always been an emotional eater. But at this point in my life, the weight started to stack on and I couldn't lose it. I just couldn't get it off. And I went back to my old ways of things that I was doing in the past, and it wasn't working. Part of that was I was in my 40s, late 40s, and things shift when you hit 40. I don't know if anybody knows about that, especially as women. Our bodies and our hormones start to shift as we get older, and the things we used to do in our 20s and 30s don't work anymore. So I had tried a bunch of things. One of the things I want to share that I had tried a couple of years ago was I decided to go to the gym. I was going to the gym 3 days a week. I was working, I had a personal trainer for 6 months. In 6 months, and this is really important, in 6 months, and I thought I was eating right because that's what I had learned before. I had lost 10 pounds in 6 months. And that's how long it took me to lose 10 pounds. I was like, and I was cycling, I was doing all of these things, but it wasn't coming off because I was emotionally eating in between all of that. And I was also exhausted. So part of that whole experience was this year was an epic year for me. Real estate, I'm in a real estate agent and I love what I do, but I wasn't able to personally manage the emotional side and the stress and everything else that compounded. So I was laying on the floor, literally at my best friend's house. We were doing our girlfriend thing, and she had been saying, try this bar, try this product, just try it. And I was like, well, these are really good, but there's no way that I could do this. I don't need that. And I guess there was a moment of just a decision that I made that I said, I'm going to stop the madness. I need to focus on my business and my priorities, and I need to have someone else take over this whole journey with food and my emotional connection with food. And so I just laid on the floor and I said, whatever, just get me involved. I will do it for a month because I'm stubborn, right? I told you that before. I told her that I'm very stubborn. I know what I'm doing. And I am well educated in health and wellness and things like that, but I was stubborn. So my journey started, and I was looking to lose like massive amounts of weight. You know, we talked about that, those people who lose 8 to 10 pounds in a week. And I was like, this is going to be easy. In 2 weeks, I'll be off the plan. I only want to lose 20 pounds. That did not happen. My first week, I lost just under 2 pounds. And I got mad at myself about that. And I couldn't understand, like, why am I not losing massive amounts of weight? And so that was another emotional connection, because I thought I just knew everything about my body. And what I found out is that my body has its own mind and its own goals. And I was just going to have to just take one day at a time and bite off one piece at a time and just let my body set itself right. And so in the last, I think I'm on week 7, I have lost over 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And so I always call myself a slow loser, but I'm happy with that. That's the best thing. I'm the slowest loser ever. And I'm proud to be a slow loser because I know this weight loss for me is going to be permanent. And I feel amazing. So I think that's the difference for me. It was an emotion. I learned how to take I learned a lot about my emotional eating habits and my stress levels. And I learned some new micro habits every day to manage that when my anxiety and stress get up, so that I'm not putting stuff in my mouth.
Right. That's what this is all about, right? It's not a diet. You are the prime, regardless of how much weight you needed to lose and have lost, you are a prime example of what this program is intended to accomplish. It is intended to help you identify whatever habits weren't serving us before and give you some tools and resources to to course correct those habits. So, I mean, I think one of the best parts of your journey is when you have these little revelations about, things about your relationship with food, and you talked a lot about them. Emotional eating is a tremendous, tremendous issue for a lot of people. So that's another reason I wanted us to talk about that, so that people could understand they're not alone. This is a common issue, and that this program is one, it's not a diet. It's truly meant to help get to the bottom of those things.
You're exactly right, because food is fuel, and that's what you need to do, is fuel your body. The other thing, it's a couple of minor things that I've noticed over the last 7 weeks. I would always take a nap during the middle of the day, because I was eating the wrong foods, and it was causing me to have these massive sugar spikes, and then I would drop. And so in the afternoon, I was taking an hour and a half, a 2-hour nap in order for me to get through my day. And one of the mental things I had to get over was the way this program works. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I mean, I had food before. I don't know if I'm just going to be sleeping all day. I absolutely have more energy with less food and eating the right foods, because of the fuel I'm eating all day. Yeah. That I am actually up at 5:30 in the morning now. And I used to never get up at 5:30. And I go to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I am busy all day long. I do not stop going. And actually, I have more time during the day. I'm almost kind of confused because I'm like, I've done everything by 10 a.m. And I'm like, what else am I going to do today? In the past, I'd walk into my pantry and nibble on something, or go treat myself for, a loaded Starbucks drink or something like that. But now I'm replacing food with activity and meaningful things to do during the day. And I'm getting way more work done because I'm able to manage that. So that alone, giving me the amount of energy, is just unbelievable. And I no longer have the creaks in the bins in the morning. We get up and we're like, wow, we feel really old over 50. I don't feel that way at all. And I actually started doing 5K walks every day, and I wasn't getting knee pain or joint pain or anything like that.
Phenomenal.
But I would like to share this with everyone as well about my family history. about medical family history. You've all heard, well, Uncle Bob didn't survive. All of our family dies young. And that's actually what happens in my family. There is not a gentleman in my family except one that ever made it past the age of 60. We have aneurysms, we have heart attacks, we have high blood pressure, we've had diabetes, we have everything. We have cancer in our family. And I knew as a child when my father passed away, when I was 12, 13 years old, which was almost 40 years ago, it was a lifestyle. I knew as a child that it was the way he ate and what he didn't do. And I chose years ago subconsciously that I would never do that to my family. And it became like this journey for me and my mother. Let's treat ourselves well. Let's be healthy. So that was my journey years and years ago. And as I progressed, I still had relatives that were dying young, and it was very heartbreaking. So I also lost a stepfather for the same reasons, health reasons. He was young. He died at 55. And so my mother and I were like, we were doing our best to, be healthy. So that was my true motivation, was not to be selfish with all the bad food that I was eating, but it was very difficult to find the right people to hang around with, to understand. And part of that also is our society and our commercials want you to eat big food, a lot of food. The portions are so big of all the wrong things that you just get confused with all the messages. Would you agree with that?
God, yes. One of the things that frustrates me most is that people think nutrition is complicated all of a sudden. It's not. You're just being inundated with all the wrong messages. That's why this program just kind of lays it all out for you. Let's go back to the basics. We know what is healthy.
Right.
Follow the program. It's predictable transformation.
Right.
It's a learning process. It's about the education.
And I think one of the things that I think is really amazing is that you are going to find that you know your body better than anybody else. And everybody's body is different. And my body doesn't lose 10 pounds a week or 8 pounds a week. I'm happy if I can lose 1.5 pounds because I'm in the right direction. I know that I'm doing what my body wants me to do. And it's a natural weight loss for me. So I accepted that. And I'm like, hey, if I go down 0.5 pound, I'm done in 12 weeks to get down to my player weight, as I say, where I feel good. Because when we look good, we feel good inside, but it all comes from within. And on the medical thing, I actually had my annual checkup, and I want everybody to know, and I shared this briefly on our group page, is that in my entire life, I have been on watch for my cholesterol because of my family history. I have never, ever, except once, had my cholesterol in a normal range, all 3 of them, good, bad, and triglycerides. And everyone kept telling me, oh, your triglycerides are genetic, those are really high. And I know. And so I leaned on that excuse that, oh, everybody in my family has high triglycerides. There's nothing I can do about it. It just is, I was even thin. I was even around, at one point in my life, in my 30s, I was 100 pounds and my triglycerides were through the roof because I was on a huge high fat kind of keto diet. And it was terrible for me. But I didn't know that. And so when I went to my annual exam with my general practitioner, she got on the video cam with me, and the first thing out of her mouth was, what are you doing? That was her first thing. She goes, what are you doing? Your numbers have never been like this. You need to tell me what you're doing. And I smiled and I told her what I was doing. She says, whatever that is, you need to keep doing it because your numbers are so good. Everything is so amazing. Whatever you do, don't stop. You are the healthiest I've ever seen you. This is amazing. Just keep doing it. You don't need me anymore.
You know what? I hear this all the time. People's doctors tell them this is genetic, or they believe it's genetic because Uncle Bob and everybody else has had this issue. What we don't realize is, sure, genes are involved, but by far the most powerful thing is lifestyle. The thing is, medicine doesn't have the evidence to support intensive lifestyle therapy. Therefore, doctors don't believe it because no one's going to study it because nobody's going to pay for it, right? The pharma companies aren't going to pay for intensive lifestyle therapy studies. They're going to pay for drug studies. I was just talking about this potential client earlier who has lupus. One of the most amazing things about this whole journey for me as a physician has been I'm in awe on a daily basis of things like you just talked about, the power of intensive lifestyle therapy to turn around high cholesterol, autoimmune conditions like I have. It's powerful, powerful medicine.
It is. And my viewpoint, since my father died in 1981 was get away from medicine and try to do a plant-based, something natural for your body, because that's what your body likes. I'm a 70s baby. We grew up on the packaged foods. I was a latchkey child. If anybody, do you remember those days when both your parents worked and you were given a key around your neck and you had to open up your own front door? I was that kid. I ate everything that came in a box. It's shocking that we're still alive. So going back to that holistic lifestyle, I call it holistic. It's really just a basic. It's not, you're right. It's not complicated. It's easy. It's basic.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to debunk what's going on in the medical community. That's just my personal opinion. When I watched my mother with cancer, my short story with that is I wish that I had this program, 4 years ago, to be honest with you. My mother was an amazing person. When she was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, the doctors told her, we're going to put you on this miracle drug and you'll be fine. But she opted early in her treatment to change her diet because she wanted to go holistic as well. So she changed her diet. It's very much like this program, to be honest with you. It was a lot of good protein and vegetables, right? A lot. Mm-hmm. And she did great. The cancer went down. Everything was great. She actually went to the point where the doctors were like, you're the miracle. But they used the drug as the reason that this was happening. But I knew that the companies were paying these doctors to give them this, she was on a trial drug. So she got so excited, she went back to her old eating habits, which was high carb and lots of sugar, because she just knew that it was the drug. And so from that point on, it was less than 10 months after she switched back to her diet that she passed away. And so for me, it was a very, a big lesson. Again, I guess that's what my life is about this health journey for all of us. And you really need to dig deep about your health and what's important for you and value what you believe in your health so that you can be well and be, feel good about yourself. So here I am. I'm 10 pounds lighter. And it trickles down into the rest of my life. The rest of my life is amazing.
It feels
I wake up every day.
Mm-hmm. It feels like you're 10 pounds physically lighter, but maybe 40 pounds mentally lighter.
Oh, I'm going to go with 60. I mean, it's just
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's say that's a wrap. We can't end any stronger than that. Thank you so much. That's been fantastic. And I know your journey continues. Can't wait to see where you go from here.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks so much. See ya. Happy New Year. Bye.